Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy NBA Today, a sports ethos show brought to you by our great partners at FanDuel. I'm Aaron Bruski, joined as always by the great Steve, Dr. A. Alexander. And in this show, we're going to be hitting up top ads, players in the drop zone, and the best streamers that money can buy. Let's get started, Doc. How you doing? I know that you had a baby in your lap, and you deprived the world of seeing this beautiful baby. This baby is no longer on screen, and I'm a little bit mad about it. But who is your top ad after Thursday night?
I also took the hat off my head for the first time in months, and I'm not pleased with what I'm seeing, but it'll be okay.
What are you talking about? You've got luxurious locks that I would be jealous to have.
They are.
Don't hide that behind a hat.
They are locks. They are locks. You want my ads? Is that correct?
Yeah. Ads
for my
great.
First ad.
Sure.
Oh man, I'm in shambles over here. I had a baby on my lap. I don't have a hat on. I don't know what I'm doing right now. My first ad, Brew, is Dennis Schroeder. And Dennis Schroeder kind of went crazy last night. Man, my computer is so slow. 27 points on 9 of 16 shooting with 5 triples. He also had 4 boards, 2 assists, and a steal. We talked about Dennis Schroeder a little bit. The other day, I was like, ooh, what about Schroeder? And you're like, yeah, maybe. Because no Westbrook. So that was pretty fun. And I've got Schroeder in a few different places. So I was, anytime he's starting, I think you want him in your lineup.
Well, I mean, on top of that, we got Keon Ellis is almost all the way out the door. That seems to be the first trade domino of the trade deadline. But with him, it feels like DeMar DeRozan and or Malik Monk. There was an and or out of, I believe, Jake Fisher's report, and all of its noise. And those guys are great reporters and all of that. The Kings have apparently over half the league interested in Keon Ellis, and that's just its own funny running joke. But if they have to sort through these offers and this becomes kind of a thing where like a couple teams glom on and they're able to get rid of both guys, then Dennis Schroeder really does sit pretty. He was a guy that was brought in by Scott Perry, so maybe they saw this as a part of their end game for him to be one or two of the last guys standing in Sacramento. Of course, Russell Westbrook is kind of the key to everything in Sacramento. If he's around, it's kind of screwing everything else up for everybody else on the team. Not that I'm anti-Russell Westbrook, Sacramento. I'm not. You've just been watching this guy for 20 years. It's either good or it's bad. There's no in between. And everybody else's stats and development suffers at the same time. So Dennis Schroeder, though, the efficiency from the field is a little bit of a question for me. But everything else is lining up pretty good. So I do like that as an ad. I will take us to Justin Champagnie. He had a decent night, 12 points, 6 boards, 111. And this comes off of the heels of a very bad game and then a very, very, very good game the game before. And mid-round, top 100 play at worst over the last couple months. It's up and down, so it feels like there's a lot of risk. And at the same time, Trey Johnson just got dinged up in the last game. So there's just one more production slot there in Washington to kind of help this along. And it kind of feels like, for me, it's a must-roster situation the rest of the way. And we will see how that plays out. Doc, who you got next?
I've got a guy that I may not have had here all year, Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma suddenly looks okay again. 19 points, 9 boards, 6 dimes last night. The game before that, it was 17 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. The game before that, it was 11 points, 10 boards, 6 assists. Now, he's only got 2 steals and no blocks to go along with that. But he's hit 1 3-pointer a game over that stretch. And maybe, just maybe, Kyle Kuzma is ready to get us to the trade deadline with some decent lines.
I kind of think he might do more than that. Kyle Kuzma, this is your moment, man. You got this. If Milwaukee comes out of this trade deadline with either no trade of Giannis for whatever reason, or they trade for him and whatever is coming back is going to maybe be shelved or, isn't, some massive box score destroyer like Giannis is. I mean, Kyle could get in there and do stuff like this. There's not going to be like over top 75 upside for Kyle Kuzma. I think that the upside mark is probably 100 at best, but it feels like a safer 100 if it all pans out for him. And for that reason, I like him as an ad doc. Let's get to Musa Cisse, who I was coming back from old Nitty's last night and Tacos 39. Shout out, guys. And I was like, I wonder what happened to the Dallas game. And I saw Musa Cisse played. And I was just so excited. He had 1 steal, 1 block, 5 boards, 3 points in 17 minutes last night. So he's alive. He exists. The Kaiser Sose of fantasy basketball is here to destroy you. And I just can't wait to see what happens next. If this all works out in our favor, we're looking at a guy who might get a ton of run for a team that's probably tanking down the stretch. So the steals, the blocks, the rebounds, the field goal percentage, and he's just a beast. And the free throw is the only problem there. So this was a sign of life for a guy we've been talking about for 2 weeks. He hasn't been on the basketball floor. Doc, who do you got next?
Well, Bub Carrington is about. Trey Johnson only played 11 minutes last night, sprained an ankle. He's already been ruled out on Friday. That's more good news for Bub Carrington. Bad news for Trey Johnson, who we've been talking about nonstop lately. And Bub kind of had a decent game last night. 29 minutes, 13 points, 2 threes, 4 boards, 6 assists, and a steal. And, Bub Carrington has not been playing too poorly. And, Brew, I know you have issues with his field goal percentage. And I guess I do too. I just don't care. He's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's fair. And he's going to get even more run now. And sometimes the field goal percentage isn't bad. I mean, he'll have a hot week and it could be really, really impactful. If he has a hot week, the percentages don't hurt. The turnovers are probably never going to go away. I don't think he's going to be under 3 anytime soon. But Carrington is looking at a pretty good setup here going forward. Just watch those.
He's shooting 38% for the month of January. To your point, touche.
It is what it is. And I just hope, more than anything, I hope developmentally he doesn't screw up other players or himself, because he's out there. He plays at a different speed than his entire team, and it just completely stands out. And I guess they're okay with it because he's one of their guys. Let's get to Tim Hardaway Jr., who had 25 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 7 threes, 27 minutes. And it might not even be as much about him as it is the injury for Aaron Gordon, which is going to keep him out for 4 to 6 weeks. And this is another, it's big news for Peyton Watson, obviously. I mean, this is going to keep him in the catbird seat. When Jokic comes back, everybody's numbers are going to dial back because he's such a box score presence. But getting Tim Hardaway Jr. looks will be a priority for them. And I think both of those dudes are still going to be, obviously, in the case of Peyton Watson, a standard league value. But Tim Hardaway Jr. has a real shot here to go, just kind of cruise through the next 4 to 6 weeks. And if you need the threes and the scoring, he's going to be able to give that to you. So Tim Hardaway Jr. And then Clint Capella will get a quick shout out here, because not only did Steven Adams get ruled out for the season, but Capella actually delivered 10 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks in 18 minutes. I don't know how long he can keep it up, but if he's the last man standing, and you have Alperen Şengün dealing with an ankle issue of his own, playing through it, so no sign of missing games yet there. But Clint Capella is going to just go in there and kind of do this sort of low-end big man stats thing each and every night, it feels like. So if you need a big man, give Clint Capella a look. Okay, let's go to the drop zone, Doc. Who you got?
Ryan Kalkbrenner, 15 minutes last night, 15 minutes the game before, 16 minutes last Saturday, 15 minutes January 21st. All these 15-minute games in there. I mean, it's like he thinks he's Khalil Ware or something. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block, 15 minutes. I just can't do it, man. Maybe they turn him loose, but I don't think they want him to play big minutes, because they don't want him to get hurt going into next year. So I just feel like Kalkbrenner, they're going to hold him back this year and then see what happens next year. I feel like, now you keep telling me that Charlotte's going to make the playoffs. So maybe Kalkbrenner, maybe I'm wrong. but it just feels like Moussa Diabate is going to get the majority of the minutes on most nights.
Yeah, I was just checking on that 5-game winning streak for the Charlotte Hornets. My Charlotte Hornets, everybody. Love those Hornets. 21-28 and 2.5 games behind the fading Chicago Bulls that nobody likes. I think so. Kalkbrenner early in the season looked kind of like it was administrative, opportunistic, like that he was doing just fine for himself, but like the stuff he was getting was being provided by others, and he was just sort of there. I wonder with Moussa Diabate, now that they're trying to win, are they're looking at him, go, okay, this guy's a real physical presence, and he can actually complement what we're trying to do to win. And maybe that's why we've seen the pivot here, in addition to the injury risk for Ryan Kalkbrenner. All right, let's get to Dylan Cardwell. And I feel like I let everybody down here, not because he's not a great pickup. I think he is. The Joel Embiid thing, I should have just seen from a mile away. He got Embiided last night, 14 minutes and 5 fouls and 1 block and 4 boards and nothing else. And it was pretty comical. Like, he just is a fouling machine in general. And Joel Embiid is the king of drawing fouls. So like this thing was pretty much done before it started, and that should have been sniffed out. And at least give you guys a warning that Dylan Cardwell was about to get Embiided. And that's not going to be a problem going forward. You got Domantas Sabonis and some pretty heavy trade rumors right now. Precious Achiuwa plays big minutes sometimes, but in this case, it's because Cardwell had the foul trouble. And Cardwell is still a solid pickup right now, and a stash and or guy that you could drop in your lineup right away. So just sort of shake this one off, and we'll move on to Doc. Who do you got?
I'm going to talk about Aaron Gordon. He is out for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. He'll be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. Best case scenario, it comes back in the middle of March. Worst case, comes back in sometime in April, and by then your fantasy season is over. I say you go ahead and drop him and move on and find somebody else. It wasn't like he was ruling the universe anyway with Peyton Watson balling out for that team. So, Aaron Gordon is kind of fun when Jokic isn't playing, but the dream is over.
Yeah, and some serious questions for that training staff. Like, how did they let that happen? Because that's just not normal. That many hamstring issues in one season. You got to either hold them out more or figure something out. And I agree, it's a drop. Let's get to Reed Shepherd, who has kind of floated around the drop zone a little bit over the last couple of weeks. He had 13 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 3-pointers, and 26 minutes in this game. I think this is just purely numbers. You know, he's going to be a top 80 guy for the rest of the season, and there's not much there to discuss, but people have been watching some rough shooting nights. I think 2 out of the last 3 games prior to this were rough shooting nights. The other one was a good night, and this one was kind of a middle-of-the-road ho-hum kind of endeavor. And as the Houston Rockets continue to get more dinged up, Reed Shepherd is going to continue to be asked to do more. So I think we get more Reed Shepherd down the stretch rather than less Reed Shepherd down the stretch. So to me, it's administrative. He is a must-roster player going forward. Doc, let me know if you see it any differently, and if not, who do you got?
Talk about Kelly Oubre here. He went on a tear where he played really pretty well for 6 straight games. And now he's had 2 dogs in a row. One of those dogs, he only played 23 minutes in, had 7 points, 4 boards, but he did have a block and a steal. And then last night was weird. That same game where Cardwell didn't do anything, Oubre didn't do anything either. 37 minutes, and he only took 3 shots. He had 4 points, 3 boards, and really nothing else. I'm not sure what that is or how that happens, but I'm just going to chalk it up to being a fluke. 2 bad games in a row. He led the Sixers in scoring on last Monday. So I don't know what to tell you, but I would not cut Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, and Sacramento does weird things to the box score. As I've been watching them for 15 years, they're just other teams that are like kind of normal teams that don't really have a lot of variance on a night-to-night basis. Sacramento will just turn them out, and they just weird things happen. But this is not the only time we've seen Kelly Oubre be bad. There is a 5-game week in the playoffs for some of y'all that you really got to think about when it comes to some of these Philadelphia 76ers. And whether a guy like Kelly Oubre profiles as a player that they might use more during a week like that. And I kind of think the answer is yes. And you look at the rest of the roster as well and think which of these guys is going to catch that 5-game week when it matters most. So I'm more inclined to hold rather than give up based on one bad night. And additionally, not only is he in the trading rumor mill, and that's an interesting decision because it's very much cash related if they want to try to trade somebody right now. And they're in the middle of a run where they think this probably the best shot they're going to have with Joel Embiid is this season. So I don't know if they're going to trade him, but if they do, it'll be almost cash related. It's almost like a 50-50 shot. It'll be cash related depending on what's out there. So anyway, Kelly Oubre.
Hey, Brew.
Yo.
Back in the day, nothing got me more fired up than, basketball on MLK Day and 5-game weeks. And like the schedule would come out, and I would just go through and find the 5-game weeks and just like, it was like I was obsessed with 5-game weeks. They don't mean squat anymore. Like
I know,
nobody's playing 5 games in 1 week in today's NBA unless it's Mikal Bridges. Like all these guys, like that's not true. What you want to do is not really worry about the stars playing 5 games. It's more of the Io DeSumus and the guys that do the heavy lifting and the
young legs
scenes work are going to play all 5. And I don't know if Kelly Oubre fits that mold or not, but I tell you, he's not going to play 5 games that week.
The point in favor of it is they've been throwing him out there for 35 minutes a game so much. That works against him in this scenario. But you're right. It's the 25-minute guy who's going to get like a 25, a 30, 25, a 30, and a 25 in a 5-game week and maybe lead the team in fantasy production. So excellent points. And to close out the drop zone, I'm going to get to Isaiah Stewart. It's not exactly exciting, but what I've noticed with Isaiah Stewart is all season long, he's been super consistent in this like top 100 to 150 range. And you get your 2 blocks and you get your points and you get a handful of boards and your field goal percentage and you call it a night. Maybe it's just the case that he's been doing really well with low minutes. Like it's really hard in that level of minutes if you're not a massive per minute stat guy to maintain this kind of fantasy value. And the last few games, it's really fallen out. The bottom's fallen out for Isaiah Stewart. So I think it's okay to drop him at this point. And if you're in a situation where you're looking for like a second center and you are targeting 100 to 150 production, see if you could get out there and like Clint Capella would probably be a reasonable switch there. And good job, Beef Stew, for the season that you've had so far, but we cannot have inconsistency without upside. And that takes us to streamers. Doc, who do you got for tonight?
Going back to Dennis Schroeder. Sacramento is at Boston this evening. No Jaylen Brown. No Domantas Sabonis. No Russell Westbrook. However, Malik Monk, it looks like, is back. So that's a little bit of a Schroeder buzzkill, but I think as long as Westbrook's not playing, Schroeder's going to be okay. I also like the fact that Jaylen Brown won't be out there. So I like Schroeder tonight.
We get confirmations on Monk and Ellis.
I see that Monk is off the injured report. I don't see anything about Keon Ellis.
It wouldn't be shocking if Keon popped up on the injury report here, before the end of the day, just as he's the centerpiece of trade talks around the league. Great streamer, lots of potential for benefit tonight as well as going forward. So great stuff there. I'll get to DeAnthony Melton for the Golden State Warriors. He's been good, and there's not a lot of mystery here. That team is kind of gutted without Jimmy Butler, and Melton is just going to get you the classic Melton stats, some steals, some threes, and maybe you'll get a block in there, the assists, and just potential for top 75 production on a given night. I don't want to get too far over my skis, Doc, but I think it's going to be a great top 75 night for DeAnthony Melton. Who you got?
You had to do it. You had to do it, didn't you? I'm going to keep it in Golden State. I'm going to keep it in Golden State with Moses Moody, 26 points, 5 boards, 2 steals, 5 triples in his last game on Wednesday night against Utah. Kind of been cooking, man. If you look at Moody's game log, it's a 9 straight games, double-figure scoring, bunch of threes, steals come and go in bunches. either has 2 or 3 or he has 0. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like Moody's a pretty decent bet for a good game tonight.
Yeah, I fully agree. And also some potential upside if Golden State just kind of stays pat at the trade deadline. I don't think that's going to happen. And just for whatever it's worth, while I'm speaking about that, I did see Stephen Bondy of the New York Post say that he didn't think that Giannis was coming to New York, which makes me think that Giannis is going to Golden State, which would obviously clear out the value for Melton and Moody, who might just go to Milwaukee. And that's why I think this is a good grab, because if they land in Milwaukee, they might have a clear ramp for the rest of the season. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get to Justin Champagnie, who we've already talked about, but also in terms of being a streamer with Trey Johnson out, Chris Middleton not playing. This is wide open for Champagnie. You know, if he's sitting there on your waiver wire, not only is it rest of season value, but tonight it actually profiles quite well for him to have a good night. And I'll leave it at that. Doc, who do you got out? Who's your next streamer for tonight?
Sam Hauser, Sammy, as I like to call him. Sammy Hauser's having a good, quiet, nice year for Boston. In January, he's at 28 minutes, shooting 51% with 4 triples, 3.8 triples per game, 14 points, almost 5 boards, and a steal. I love Sam Hauser, especially if you're looking for threes and steals. I think he's a really solid pick. And then you add in that Jaylen Brown is out tonight. That helps. And you add in that the Jason Tatum news yesterday, the earthquake, the fantasy earthquake that we got, with him potentially not playing at all this season. That's also good news for Sammy Hauser.
I love it. I think that was a shot across the bow at the marketing department. I love it.
No.
Yeah, Hauser's just going to make threes. I want to get the FanDuel odds for that game because I think that's a really interesting win, a Boston cover. I'm blind betting that thing. Though Sacramento does like to win games that they're not supposed to win. But we'll see when we get to that section if I can get some odds on that. I will end this streamer discussion with none other than, you guessed it, Kyle Filipowski. Everybody's out for Utah tonight. This is a big time chance for Kyle Filipowski to put a big time lineup. And I think there's Kyle Filipowski fatigue. I know there's Filipowski fatigue here on this show. How many times have we talked about Kyle Filipowski this year, Doc? Over, under?
Too much. Khalil Ware, Matas Buzelis, Filipowski. Those might be the big three. It may be.
I think you're forgetting like early season of Dem Bona and some other guys.
Jay Huff.
Jay Huff demands attention, okay? You can't have a show without Jay Huff talk. But Kyle Filipowski tonight and rest of the season, the pivot is here. I think, Lauri Markkanen's just getting flat out rested for trade deadline and or tanking reasons. So it's potentially Kyle Filipowski season, I've said for the 5 millionth time. And that's going to do it for this episode of Fantasy NBA today. If you're listening to the pod feed, please take 60 seconds, leave a 5-star review. That really helps us out. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the Sports Ethos channel so you never miss an episode. From Doc, Andre, and everybody here at Sports Ethos, we'll be right back with our daily fantasy deep dive available exclusively on the Fantasy NBA Today pod feed and the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. This has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by FanDuel.
It's a new record.